You might have heard the Mets have not been exactly flying high of late. They're hoping that their losing ways come in for a landing with the American League now coming to Shea Stadium. These are not easy times for a manager under fire, as the Mets welcome in the Texas Rangers for the first time ever. At Shea Stadium in New York, the New York Mets play the Texas Rangers. Tonight's game is available in high definition, presented by IOTV, the leader in HD. Do you see in HD? And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Shea Stadium. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets open a three-game interleague series against the Texas Rangers. It is Friday the 13th, and the Mets hope that changes their luck. They certainly hope it changes their closer's luck. Billy Wagner with 3 straight blown saves, multiple run leads each time, and that's a really tough way for a team to go.
Well, Wagner hoping the wearer of number 13, he's hoping that his luck changes. If the buck stops with the manager in the bullpen, certainly the buck stops with Wagner. In his first 18 innings, no earned runs. In his last 9, 7 earned runs, 3 home runs. Just has really struggled to close games for the Mets. And when they needed him most, he just hasn't come to the hit so far this year.
And in the last 2, ruined just spectacular starting efforts by Mike Pelfrey and Johan Santana. Now Oliver Perez takes the ball, hoping that he can improve and continue to improve the way he did in San Diego in his last start.
Yeah, he definitely pitched a little better. 5 1/3 innings, only gave up 1 run, but he hit 2 of the last 3 batters he's faced, so hopefully he'll get deeper into the game. They need Perez to have the same kind of outing that Pelfrey and Santana did.
And the task is unbelievably tough for Perez and the rest of the Mets pitching staff in this series, because the Texas Rangers come to town blessed with easily the best offense in the major leagues.
Oh, they really do. They're first in home runs, RBIs, total bases, doubles, average. I can keep going, but I don't have that long of an opening. It's just going to be really hard for Perez, but the best hitter on the team, Hamilton, is left-handed, and Perez has handled left-handers very well all season long.
Mets take another hit. Moises Alou goes back on the disabled list. Robinson Cancel is back from New Orleans. It's the Mets and the Rangers from Shea Stadium. We'll take you across the way to Citi Field for a construction update with our favorite carpenter when we come back to Shea. Well, Citi Field continues apace. While things are not always at their best here at Shea, there is life across the way in the new ballpark with Kevin Burkhardt.
Time once again for our Citi Field construction update with a great view of Shea behind us. We're on the roof of the promenade section at Citi Field. Our man Danny Sessa, Local 45 Carpenters Union in Queens. Danny, it's been really hot out. How do you guys deal with this when you're on the job outside all day?
Kev, you should have been here the last 2 days. It was really brutal. You're talking 95 plus, hanging sheetrock, no air, you know, a lot of water, taking a lot of fluids. And if we really had a good union foreman, he'd be around taking care of us. There you go. You don't get better than this in the union. Spraying you down, suntan lotion, making sure you hang those boards to get this job done. That's what it's all about here at Citi Field. Thank you, Eddie.
You're welcome, Dan.
Danny, it was a little hot outside, so I figured we'd come inside. This is the Mets clubhouse. It's starting to really take shape, but what's next in here now?
Well, Kev, as you look around, you see we got the grid up. Eddie, thank you for the water. I was a little warm. Eventually, we're going to have stalls put up here, all dividing for the Met players. As you look around, we got this guy Webby, must be a rookie or something. Maybe this is going to be his spot. I don't know.
All right, Danny, we're sitting here in the bullpens where the bullpens are being...
Go ahead, continue.
What just happened?
Let me stop. You don't let me... things are getting a little crazy around here, Kev. I got a vision, you know? Maybe one day me and you can have a little sports show together. The Kevin and Danny Hour, you know? Got a problem with that? I think we can do it.
Can we stick with construction updates for now?
No, let's say we'll take it a little further. We'll discuss this at another time. How about that?
All right. Sounds good.
Fair enough? Thank you.
I'm sure we could find a sponsor with no problem at all. This is what Citi Field looked like 11 months ago, and just to give you an idea how things have changed in less than a year, now it looks almost like a completed ballpark or something very close to it. There you see the new and the old. Oliver Perez and Scott Feldman, your starting pitchers tonight. First pitch, Mets and Rangers coming up. Here's a Ford starting lineup for the Texas Rangers. First in the American League in batting average and home runs and runs per game. And, well, you get it. Josh Hamilton having a tremendous season, leading the American League in homers and RBIs. Milton Bradley right behind him, leading the American League in batting average and on-base percentage. Ian Kinsler will lead it off. Kinsler 7th in the American League in batting, hitting at .311. The top 5 guys in the order for the Rangers all are in the top of the league in something significant.
Oliver Perez is going to try to counter that tonight. Pitched a little better in his last ball game. 5 1/3, only a run against San Diego. Got a no decision. 45 walks and 65 1/3 though. It's been plagued him all season long.
And he works the inside corner to Kinsler, and it's 0-2. Kinsler, just 25 years old, leads the American League in runs scored. He's already scored 57 runs this year in the Rangers' first 68 games. He's on a pace for about 150 runs scored this year. And Perez misses away 1-2.
And you say to yourself, with all these hitters, how are they not doing better? Well, we'll talk about the pitching in a little bit, as they're on the bottom of all the sheets in the pitching departments.
They're on the extreme ends of every category that causes you to play long games. Pop foul backing out of play, and it's 1-2 to Kinsler. Michael Young on deck, and then Josh Hamilton here in the opening inning. The Rangers playing the Mets at Shea for the first time ever. The Mets and Rangers met in Texas in 2003. In fact, that's where Jose Reyes made his major league debut. Mets took 2 out of 3 in that series. Lifted to center field. Beltran drifting to right center. And Kinsler retired for the first out of the game. So 1 away.
Now the Rico Mets defense. Marlon Anderson getting the start in left field. Beltran and Chavez. Right, Reyes, Castillo, Delgado. Castillo had the day off yesterday. Brian Schneider in to replace Ramon Castro. Had a big game in yesterday afternoon's game.
And here is Michael Young, and maybe it's his name and maybe it's where he plays, but this is the most unknown superstar in baseball. And he takes a strike. 5 straight seasons of 200 hits or more. Outstanding shortstop, 31 years old. The Rangers know how valuable he is. They gave him an $80 million contract. And the slider wraps around the plate, 1-1.
It's also so durable. Look at his last seasons. 156 games, 160, 160, 159, 162, 156.
Low and away, 2-1. Young just had a 23-game hitting streak come to an end a couple of days ago, and he did it in part with a fracture at the tip of his left ring finger. So he's been playing with a broken finger and still had a 23-game hitting streak. And now Perez behind 3-1.
2006, he had 691 at bats. Wow.
Josh Hamilton waiting on deck. This is quite a row of hitters that the Rangers present. 3-1 is a call strike. 3-2. Ron Washington, the second-year skipper of the Texas Rangers. Early in the season, when the Rangers were not playing well, there was every indication that Washington's job was in jeopardy. Pop foul backing out of play. And with all the talk today about Willie Randolph's job status, it's worth noting that the Rangers essentially were able to save Washington's job by going on a hot streak. And right now they're a .500 ball club for the season, 34-34, and playing pretty well. Washington, longtime coach in Oakland before he got the Texas job. Swing and a miss, and Young is struck out. So Perez retires the first 2.
Nice stop by Oliver. This pitch down in the strike zone. A lot of movement.
So Perez has retired the first 2, and here is Josh Hamilton, and what an incredible season he's having. Coming over in the trade from Cincinnati for Edinson Volquez, who is having a similarly marvelous year for the Reds. Hamilton leading the American League in home runs with 17 and RBIs with 71, and he takes a strike. Lifts it to deep left field. Back goes Anderson to the warning track, back at the wall, and it's out of here. Josh Hamilton with an opposite field home run, his 18th of the year, and the Rangers have a 1-0 lead.
Wow. Talk about strength. You know, you can see those numbers, but until you see a young man hit like that, that was a flick of the wrist, opposite field home run. Watch this. Fastball away, just a little flip of the wrist. And that's 8 rows deep.
13th home run given up by Perez this year. 1-0 Texas. Here's Milton Bradley, who leads the American League in batting. And he takes the slider off the plate, 1-0. Well, Josh Hamilton's story has become very well known. 4 years out of baseball, battling drug addiction. And what a return he made last year with Cincinnati, only to be traded and have an even better year in Texas.
It was very interesting. I mean, Cincinnati was looking to get a young pitcher. They didn't have a lot of people they could trade. Hamilton had that good first year, and there also was talk that there was some dissension, you know, with Hamilton and the Reds. As you see this swing, just a little cock of the bat, sits back, and then just that full swing and great leverage.
Low and inside, 3-1 to Bradley.
I was just alluding to that Josh Hamilton travels with someone that's with him all the time, and there was some talk. Brandon Phillips, the second baseman from Cincinnati, mentioned that it was a dissension amongst the team, but he had an outstanding year and just a triple crown maybe type of year this year.
Well, he might be battling his teammate Bradley for the batting lead. Hamilton came in 6th in the league in hitting. 3-2 to Bradley, the switch hitter, hitting better from the right side than the left. And he takes it just off the plate for ball 4. And Bradley, who does draw a lot of walks and leads the American League with an on-base percentage over .450, draws the first walk of the night from Perez. So 2 out and a runner on, and here's David Murphy. And you know, talking about making the trade for Hamilton, another hitter. Last summer, the Rangers dealt Eric Gagne to the Red Sox, and they brought back, among others, David Murphy. And he's in line to set a Texas club record for RBIs by a rookie. And he takes a strike, 0-1. David Murphy, last year between Boston and Texas, had 129 at-bats. If you have 130, you're not eligible to be a rookie the following year. So he maintained his rookie status by 1 at-bat. And he takes a slider for a strike, 0-2. Murphy with 47 runs batted in. The Texas rookie record is 88, set by Pete Incaviglia in 1986. Chris Shelton, the former Detroit Tiger, on deck. Bradley at first and 2 down, and a grounder right to Delgado. That does it for the inning. But Josh Hamilton gives the Rangers the early lead with his 18th home run of the year. Going the other way against Oliver Perez. 1-0 Texas. Your Lincoln Mercury countdown brings us down to 50. Count them, 50 regular season games remaining at Shea Stadium. There's your Geico starting lineup for the Mets. Marlon Anderson gets the start in left field. Andy Chavez makes yet another start in right. Andy's starting for the 10th straight game against Scott Feldman.
Well, you see the numbers here, 1 and 2, 4.31. Feldman has a sinking fastball, overhand curveball, and change. Born in Kailua, Hawaii, and I was saying that only because I saw number 50 out there. Are we going to have our friend pull down that number tomorrow? Mr. Sid Fernandez, the most famous 50 for the Mets.
He certainly was that, and the other guy who wore 50 proudly as a Hawaiian was Benny Agbayani. Pulled foul by Reyes, and it's 0-2. I believe Benny's still playing in Japan. He might not be available.
Is he playing for Bobby V's team?
He was. I
Okay.
can't tell you for sure that he still is, but I believe he might be. Feldman's been a reliever his entire life until this year, and they were going to convert him to starting in the minors this year, but Reyes grounds one toward the middle, base hit. And so Reyes starts the bottom of the first inning with a ground single up the middle. Jose Reyes is 79th hit of the year.
The Rico Rangers defense: David Murphy in left, Hamilton in center, Milton Bradley in right, Herman Duran at left, third base, Michael Young, Ian Kinsler at second base, Chris Shelton at first, and Jared Saltalamacchia doing the catching. Did I get it? All of them?
It was a very nice job by our graphics guy to get that entire name into the screen. Here's Luis Castillo riding a 6-game hitting streak. Castillo hitting at .267. Saltalamacchia has not done a very good job throwing out base stealers this year, only 2 out of 21. Reyes has stolen 23. He's been caught 7 times. Saltalamacchia began the year in the minors and is the backup to Gerald Laird, but getting the start tonight. We'll see whether Reyes is inclined to go early.
Saltalamacchia has not been very good so far this season, throwing out base runners.
And there is the former Met manager, Art Howe. And it is the strangest of ironies that Art Howe is in the ballpark today, with all the talk about Willie Randolph's job status. Art Howe, who was on the griddle for the entirety of his 2 years as Mets manager, preceding Willie, and certainly knows what that's like. Off the plate, and it's 2-0 to Castillo. Art now the bench coach for Ron Washington, who was his coach in Oakland when he managed there. Those are the numbers for Art when he skippered the Mets for his 2 seasons.
Well, I played against Art, and he was a great bench player. Played third base, first base, and got to know him when he was in Oakland. I was out there living at the time, and just salt of the earth kind of guy.
One of the nicest people I have ever met in the game of baseball. Two and 0 to Castillo, with David Wright on deck. And there's a strike, 2-1.
Well, we're talking about Art Howe. He's the bench coach, so he gives the signs to Jared Saltalamacchia. See, he's looking at the bench, seeing what's called, and there's Art.
Is he calling pitches or just calling throws over and pitch outs?
Throws over, slide step, hold the ball a long time.
There goes Reyes on 2-1. It's slapped to third. Duran will make the throw to first in time to get Castillo. So Reyes on the move. Castillo grounds out. And the Mets have a runner in scoring position with 1 out.
Third baseman, number 5, David.
Are there any major league teams where pitchers are actually called for a catcher from the bench?
Boy, I know it's happened. So I would have to say that there's certain pitches that I think that if a catcher, especially if he's inexperienced, would look into the pitching coach and maybe just get a little piece of advice. I know Dave Duncan does that occasionally. Will make a recommendation to his catcher if his catcher looks at him.
So here is Wright. David 8th in the National League with 48 RBIs, and he fouls the first pitch fastball back. Scott Feldman, just 25 years old, pitched parts of the last 3 seasons with Texas, all in relief. In fact, he had made only 4 starts in his minor league career. But now a fixture in their rotation. And he comes inside on right, and it's pulled foul, 0-2.
And they had made a start in the Arizona leagues. They were starting him there because they wanted him to change his delivery a little bit. He used to be straight over the top. They've made him a little more 3/4 to get him a little more movement.
Wright
fighting a slump right now. 6 for his last 35. Trying to get Reyes home from second with the tying run. And he takes the fastball off the plate, 1-2. And it has been confirmed for us Benny Agbayani is still playing for Bobby Valentine.
Oh, great.
With the Chiba Latte Marines. Reyes dancing, trying to catch Feldman's attention, and Feldman steps off. And a balk. Balk was called. So Reyes accomplishing what he set out to, distracting Feldman enough to coax the balk.
No one's arguing. What happened is that he was just moving his hands and his shoulders back and forth before he stepped off. Just moved it ever so slightly, and Reyes saw it, and so did the second base umpire.
Alfonso Marquez umpiring at second. The infield in the first inning, and Wright bounces it foul. This is shocking, only because the Rangers score so many runs. I can't believe they're playing the infield in the first inning.
And I think, you know, maybe they're going because it's 1-2. That's pitcher's up in the count. Maybe Wright's not going to hit as hard. I don't like this play. I like the infield back. Give your pitcher a better break. The worst that happens, you're even after an inning.
1-2 to Wright. Slider in the dirt. And Saltalamacchia with a nice stop to save a run. 2-2. I mean, if you're a low-scoring team or you're facing a pitcher who is a light as Johan Santana,
Brandon Webb,
right, you can understand it, but under these circumstances, this is hard to figure.
And it's interesting, Ron Washington in his career was a middle infielder.
2-2 to Wright, and David grounds one foul.
Well, what's great about this job is that tomorrow, when we come to the ballpark, we're able to go and talk to the manager and ask him, and he'll give you his reason. Well, there's some salty ones that won't.
Well, the danger, of course, of bringing the infield in is not just that you give up a run, it's that you set the stage for the potential of a larger inning. 2-2 to Wright. Line toward the middle, caught by Kinsler. Well, he wasn't playing back, but he was back far enough to catch the line drive before it got up the middle.
And if he's playing back, that might be a base hit because he would be up the middle. Wright might be able to beat it out. He would have had to definitely catch it on 1 or 2 hops. Oh, yeah, that ball is going to be at least 1 hop and might get by him. So the gamble pays off.
Well, in David's last at bat yesterday, he hit the shot to third that Augie Ojeda made a tremendous play on to save a run. Reyes faking down the line to again draw Feldman's attention. This time he does not balk. And now Wright hits the ball hard again, and Kinsler makes the grab for the second out. And Beltran takes low, ball 1.
That might have been the furthest I've ever seen Reyes come down the line. As to see the defenses, the advanced scouts are even got the message to the American League. They're playing Beltran to pull in the infield as Bradley and Hamilton exchanging sunglasses.
There's just a little bit of sun out there in deep right field. And so Hamilton handed the sunglasses to Bradley, who did not have them. 1-0 to Beltran. Pulled on the ground, base hit into right field, and that ties the game. Reyes in to score. Beltran with the RBI single, and the Mets tied up at 1-1. RBI number 42 for Beltran.
Well, it's good to see finally for Carlos Beltran, who has not been finding many holes, hitting the ball probably as hard as he's hit it all season long as of late. And now finally this rollover does get in the outfield. Kinsler, even though shifted over, not playing that deep second base that we see from many National League second basemen. 1-1.
Chris Shelton, the first baseman, not blessed with great range. So a 1-1 game. Beltran at first, and here's Delgado. Carlos sitting at 241. Took an 0 for yesterday after hitting in 4 straight. And he lays off the sinker for ball 1. So Reyes able to craft a first inning run in part by inducing a balk from Scott Feldman. Feldman again thinking a lot about the base runner at first.
Pretty slow pace here for Mr. Feldman.
Well, this is a Texas pitching staff that has been, well, it's been dreadful for years.
Yes.
And they're dead last in the American League in ERA this year. They've also got the team that's made the most errors in the American League by far. 62 errors in their 68 games.
Wow.
So if you're a pitcher, you can, on that kind of a staff, you can understand why you might be a little reluctant to release the ball. In the dirt, and Saltalamacchia stops at 2-0. You see where the Rangers rank: last in ERA, second to last in walks per 9 innings, second to last in opponents' batting average in the American League. And they recently released a guy who was having some success for them in Sidney Ponson because of behavioral issues.
No, not Sidney. You know, the thing about Scott Feldman, I remember we did, Kevin did that great piece on Keith in San Francisco, growing up in Pacifica. Burlingame, California is where Scott Feldman grew up, suburb of San Francisco, near Keith. And it just seems like he's trying to throw that great breaking ball early in the count. And, you know, what you want to do early in the count is throw a strike and then save that good one in the dirt when you're ahead in the count.
Now, in the old days, before the leagues were closer, the American League used to be known as a breaking ball league, where more pitchers would throw more curveballs early in the count. I'm not sure that's true anymore.
No.
There goes Beltran. Ball 4 to Delgado. The throw from Saltalamacchia is irrelevant as Delgado draws the 2-out walk, and the Mets have 2 men on.
And the pitching coach, Mark Connor, out there already. Connor did some of his best work when he was with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was their pitching coach when Randy Johnson was out there. Got 2 Cy Youngs in the years he was there.
Mark Connor, a New York native, born in Brooklyn, went to Manhattan College, and given a pretty good talking to his young charge there.
Well, I think he should. I mean, when you go out there and it almost looks like he's afraid to throw a strike, pitching around the strike zone. I think that's when your pitching coach says, hey, let's go. You got good stuff. I see it every day when you throw on the side. Let's start throwing some strikes and getting these guys out.
By the way, this is Scott Feldman's 9th major league start.
Yeah.
This is the first time he's ever given up a run in the first inning. So he's had early success before, but not today. Mets have tied the game, and now they have 2 aboard for Marlon Anderson, who's really been struggling. 0 for 4 since coming off the disabled list, and 1 for his last 25 going back to before he hurt the hamstring. His batting average just 153. His on base percentage for the year under 200. So it's been a very rough go for Marlon. Little dribbler, and that goes foul. 0-2.
Yeah, the one thing I see from Marlon this year, now, and this is just, he's been in and out of the lineup, of course, with the injury. It stops and starts for him. But I remember him, when he's going best, he hits a lot of balls to left field. Hits a lot of balls up the middle. And it seems so far this season he's been more pull conscious.
Now Feldman ahead of him 0-2. And the curveball looks like it fooled Saltalamacchia. And it's 1-2.
Almost like a cross-up, huh?
Yeah, he was looking for a fastball.
Yeah, that's interesting. He didn't go out and say anything.
Well, Feldman must know what he did wrong.
Probably said, my fault.
One and 2 to Anderson. And that fastball misses low, and it's 2-2. Marlon playing left field. The Mets made it official today and put Moises Alou back onto the disabled list. Mo will miss at least 15 days. They can't retroactive him because they called up Robinson Cancel, and it was less than 10 days since Cancel had gone down. But you know, isn't that an indictment of the upper levels of the Mets farm system that it's again the 3rd catcher who gets called up? That there just are no position players down there to get the call. 2-2, runners go, pitch outside, throw to third by Saltalamacchia, and not in time. Beltran steals third, and Delgado follows to second.
Well, very interesting. Maybe if you're a veteran catcher, might be more aware of this. Delgado on second. Well, what I would have done is maybe thrown that ball to second base. Beltran, who has the great speed, if you're a young catcher, why don't you come up? He's just in under that throw. Saltalamacchia thought he had him. But a lot of times a veteran catcher will throw that ball through to second base.
I was not watching to see if anybody was covering second. 3-2 to Anderson with 2 in scoring position.
Yeah, it just gets under the tag.
Very close.
Yep.
Duran making the tag, might have gotten him. Anderson calls for time.
Wow.
And now Saltalamacchia and Feldman will get together. 27 pitches in for Feldman here in the first inning.
Boy, that's very interesting that you don't have someone else at least covering second base.
Either middle infielder moved an inch.
Carlos is happy. Stolen bases don't come very often.
First of the year for Delgado. He had 4 last year. So the Mets inducing a balk, stealing a couple of bases, and that'll get Feldman to work even slower.
Wow.
3-2 to Marlon Anderson. Line the other way, one hopper grabbed by Duran, and he makes a high throw off the bag. Shelton, a run scores. Delgado trying to get back to third, and he gets back safely. 2-0 New York, 2-1 New York. Well, Duran made a terrific stop as Anderson did go the other way, but the Rangers make their 63rd error of the year to bring home a run.
And it was a great stop. This ball sailed on him, though, brought Shelton off the bag. He had more time than he thought, did Duran, when he came up, but hurried that throw. And you saw Beltran, of course, going to score, and Delgado maybe was thinking he was going to double up and score 2 runs on that, and thought wisely and got back.
So 2 runs are in. The Mets have a 2-1 lead. Now Brian Schneider hitting 7th in the order. Schneider hitting at .254. First and third and 2 down. So Josh Hamilton with the home run in the top of the first. The Mets with a pair at the bottom of the first. And so far this is playing like a typical Texas Rangers game. Home runs, poor pitching, bad defense. And we mentioned that all those things take a lot of time. On the inside corner to Schneider, 0-1. We didn't mention a Traxel-esque pace.
Yeah. Steve was just designated for assignment, right? From Baltimore?
Probably end up in Texas.
Yeah.
The 0-1. Changeup misses up and away, 1-1.
Well, this is how bad it's gotten for Texas this year. 10 different starting pitchers this year for Texas.
Vicente Padilla is their ace. He's pitched well, but beyond that, it's a crapshoot. 1-1, swing and a miss. He was late on the fastball, 1-2. Rangers are bringing up a starting pitcher tomorrow. Kaysen Gabbard is coming up from the minor leagues to start.
Interesting pitch. That ball was supposed to be inside. I think it was supposed to be a cutter inside, but bled to the outside, just beating Brian Schneider.
One-two from Feldman. Popped it up behind first base. Coming over Kinsler to call. And Kinsler makes the grab with a little bit of a bobble to end the inning. But the Mets score 2. It's helped out by the error and lead 2-1. From the disabled list, 6 shutout innings as the Padres beat the Dodgers 9-0 last night. Jamie Moyer, 8 innings, 2 hits. He's now 9-0 lifetime against Florida. A 3-0 win for the Phillies last night. And the Cubs, a bases loaded hit batsman as Jeff Ridgway hit Reed Johnson to force in the winner in the 11th. The Cubs are now 29-8 at Wrigley Field. Chris Shelton leads off in the second inning, takes a strike from Oliver Perez.
Of course, Reed Johnson, who came over in the beginning of the year from the Toronto Blue Jays. He was designated for assignment from them, and the Cubs are happy to have him, especially with Soriano out.
And if you remember back to spring training when Johnson was designated for assignment by Toronto, there was a lot of talk that the Mets might be interested in going after him, and you know, in retrospect, that would have been just a tremendous pickup.
It would have been a great pickup. I think that the Mets felt that Reed Johnson was the same kind of player as the guy they had in camp, Brady Clark. Brady Clark didn't really work out, but we've seen Johnson before. He was coming off a back injury also. There's a lot of things he can do. He can run, plays fearless defense.
Well, the other thing to remember is Shelton cues one, and Perez with time able to throw him out. Acrobatic play by Oliver, who goes stumbling over toward the dugout, but with Shelton running, he had all the time in the world. And that's the first out. But you know, the Mets had Angel Pagan, and that's the guy that wound up being their starting left fielder at the beginning of the season.
Nice play by Oliver, I'll tell you, with the spin move. And he knows how to hop over that line, so that was not a problem.
As long as he's not dizzy now from all that spinning, he should be okay. One out and nobody on, and here's the man whose name barely fits on his jersey, Jared Saltalamacchia, acquired by the Rangers last summer when Texas dealt Mark Teixeira to the Braves. And Saltalamacchia pops it up. Castillo moving out to make the call, and quickly there are two down. So Perez handed a 2-1 lead, retires the first two hitters. And if you're going to beat this Texas team, you had better take care of the 6 through 9 hitters, because those top 5 in the order are so good. I mean, it's true with any major league lineup, but particularly here.
Well, particularly here, and particularly how hot they've been in the first half of the year. I mean, truly, that's what the Mets are looking for, aren't they? To have all of their big hitters hot like this Ranger team is and getting on a roll.
Here's Herman Duran, and he takes ball 1. Hank Blaylock, yet another terrific hitter, is hurt, and they hope to get him back soon. As Duran takes a strike 1-1, but when Blaylock comes back, they're talking about playing him more at first base than at third base. Lifts one along the right field side. That'll go out of play, and it's 1-2. Well, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim have been the class of the American League West this year. The Mets will be going there to start a series on Monday night. The A's are hanging in there, and the Rangers have played much better, and the Mariners, who were picked by a lot of people to win that division, may be the biggest disappointment in baseball this year.
They can't get anything going. I had to watch one of their games, and watching Ichiro in center field and Gold Glove in right field for all those seasons, I saw balls drop in center field that I've never seen drop in my entire life. I've seen balls that he gave up on. He did not go at all towards the wall to try to, play that fearless defense. It was very, very strange. Saw that game in Yankee Stadium. It was just, and the big complaint, of course, from the players on the Seattle team.
Well, Richie Sexson has been a huge problem for them, and they had that big blow up last week where John McLaren made an expletive-filled rant to the media. Bill Bavesi, the general manager, instructed the players to be in front of their lockers after games because they weren't being accountable, and Sexson refused. 2-2 off the corner as Perez was walking toward the dugout, thought he had strike 3 and a full count to Duran.
Well, they've had every single team meeting as you see this breaking ball. Close, but Mike Riley saw it outside.
(3-2) to Duran, and he struck him out with a slider. Second strikeout for Oliver Perez, and he sets the Rangers down 1-2-3 in the top of the second. We go to the bottom of the second at Shea, 2-1 New York. Honeymooners fans, your favorite show is back on the CW11, and you get to pick the episodes you watch. Just visit CW11.com each week and vote for the 2 episodes you want to see. The top 2 vote getters will air every Sunday night in the Honeymooners Viewer Choice Hour on the CW11. Andy Chavez drags a bunt. Chris Shelton to get it. Chavez is tagged out. So Andy tried to get around big Chris Shelton, but Shelton with the extension able to tag out Andy for the out.
Well, this bunt was just a little too hard. Got to Shelton too quickly. That allowed him to be able to go and try to tag Endy. Just gets a piece of him. We've seen that play before. Sometimes the runners, the hitter, will sometimes when he gets to the first baseman, slide and then get up again. But Endy tried to run around him. And a good play by Shelton.
And even if Shelton had not tagged him, he would have been out for running out of the 3-foot wide running lane to avoid the tag. So either way, Oliver Perez lines one foul. That one got to the stands quickly. And it's 0-2.
Yeah, nice play here. Probably the most famous bunt like this kind of play happened against Houston in 1986 championship series against the Mets when Wally Backman.
Oliver Perez down swinging, and that's the second out. Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV, your ticket to the most sports in HD.
Nice shots, I'll tell you that.
Not only that, but they've picked the perfect nights to have the blimp. These gorgeous, clear, late spring nights.
See forever kind of days.
Jose Reyes singled up the middle and scored the Mets' first run. Takes the curveball for a strike from Feldman. Second time around the batting order, new weapon for the right-hander. And it's hit hard, but right at the second baseman Kinsler. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Scott Feldman. A little better effort for Feldman second time around. We go to the third, 2-1 New York. Let's check out the Mets' upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Night game tomorrow night, Saturday night game at Shea, and then Sunday afternoon with Texas. Then it's back to the West Coast yet again to Anaheim and then to Colorado. Mets' fourth and final trip to the far west this season. Scott Feldman's first big league plate appearance. Right-hand pitcher, but left-hand batter. 1-1.
I'm making it to Colorado this time. Usually I don't go there because Keith has family. Making this trip this time.
You know, it'll be great to have you in Denver.
Why?
But Denver often produces some of Keith's best gems. Just because the games tend to drag on. There's a strike, and it's 2-2 to Feldman.
Well, maybe I'll borrow some. I'll give him a call. Maybe I can borrow some from him.
Give you material?
Yeah.
Has Keith ever given you material?
Absolutely not. Kidding me? Very selfish that way.
2-2 and Feldman down swinging. That's the third strikeout for Oliver Perez. He's now set down 5 in a row, 1 out in the third. That is just gorgeous. These limp shots are just outstanding. Some of the view you get flying into LaGuardia.
You know, you forget because you spend so much time in the concrete jungle here, you forget about how much water there is here in and around Shea Stadium.
Here's Ian Kinsler, who flied to center his first time up. Well, you don't forget it. Well, I was going to say in December, when there used to be football here in late November and December, and you'd sit in the upper deck, and that wind would whip in off Flushing Bay. It was so cold. 2-0 now to Kinsler. I mean, it gets chilly at Giant Stadium too, but it's enclosed. It's a different kind of cold.
But you get chilly when it's below 70. How do you deal with a football game? Just dress layers.
You should see. I look like the Michelin Man. 2-1 to Kinsler.
Are you a blanket person?
No, more you know, multiple long underwear and a lot of you know, a lot of miracle fabrics, and then the snowmobile suit.
Oh, no way!
But that only comes after the playoff games in January. And you know, being a Jet fan, I don't have to wear that too often. 2-2 now to Kinsler. Perez has him tied up with the slider. Kinsler saying it hit him in the leg.
Again, another ball down and in, and he gives him a base after Mike Riley checked the ball.
Yep, right off the toe. Didn't even have to. I guess he looked for blue shoe polish. I guess he must have seen something.
Yep. Of course, the most famous one of those in the last few days, the 2-2 pitch to Mark Reynolds that hit him on the foot. No, the umpire said it did not hit him. Went to 3-2, and he hit that big home run off Billy.
Only because it hit the white part of the shoe instead of the black part of the shoe. So here's Michael Young, who struck out his first time up. Kinsler aboard. That is 9 hit batsmen for Perez this year, most in the National League. In his last outing, he had 2 of them in his last inning of work, and then Joe Smith came out of the bullpen and hit another guy. 3 hit batsmen in 1 inning against San Diego. Look at Michael Young's career numbers. Lifetime .302 hitter. He's had 5 straight seasons of 200 hits or more. He fouls it off the right side, 1-1.
Well, you know, when you're facing a new team, you don't know that much about the players, but you know, Scott Feldman might, for you guys that really follow baseball, he's the one that got that suspension for that bench clearing brawl that was against Texas and the Los Angeles Angels in 2006. He was the final guy to hit one of the Angels.
Two and one now to Young. Well, you know, the Mets last played the Texas Rangers in 2003, so it's 2 vastly different teams since then. And, you know, with trades and with interleague play, guys see more of each other. But you know, there are only 2 guys in this Texas lineup tonight who have faced Oliver Perez before, Young being one of them, and that was just 1 at bat. So how does one prepare for a series like this, having really essentially never seen most of the players on the other team before?
Well, for the past month or so, Texas Rangers have had their advanced scout here checking out the Mets. They do all their charts. After the game, they have to do a detailed.
Big hopper for right. Out at second. Castillo the turn in time for the double play. 5-4-3.
They have to do a detailed report on the computer and send it home to the stadium there. So that's how they get it done.
Wright took his time, and Castillo had just enough time to double up Young at first. Home 3rd inning. Luis Castillo leads off against Scott Feldman and takes a knee-high strike. Castillo on a hit and run play grounded out to 3rd base to help build a run in the first. Beltran with an RBI single. 2nd run coming home on an error, and that's given the Mets a 2-1 lead. And the curveball in for a strike. 0-2. The Mets lost a 1-run game yesterday here at Shea. And amidst everything that's gone on over the last week and all the dreadful losses they've had, it really brings up an interesting point, and that is that Willie Randolph has the best record of any manager in Major League history in 1-run games at home.
Wow.
That's how rare that loss was yesterday. He's now 61-23 in 1-run games here at Shea in his 4 years now as manager.
That is impressive.
And that's a stunning winning percentage. 2-2 to Castillo. Low and inside 3-2. And you know, I'm not sure exactly what that's representative of, but it means that when this team has been in positions to win in tight games here, they've won more often than not.
Usually get it done.
And you know, over the last 2+ years, a lot of that's had to do with Billy Wagner.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you look at what's happened to Wagner over these last 3 appearances and you say this just is not the same guy.
Yeah, you just shake your head. You can't believe it.
In fact, it's the first time as Castillo lines one of the second basemen. That's the first out. It's the first time in Wagner's career that he's been charged with multiple runs in 3 consecutive appearances. 14 years, it's the first time that's ever happened. Wow. So, track records will tell you that it's an aberration, and he'll turn it around because, after all, he was so good over the first 2 months of the season. But, again, sometimes it's not when you blow a save, but it's not how many saves you blow, it's the circumstances. And these circumstances over the last week could not have been more crushing for this team. Curveball strike to Ray.
Well, and I called it earlier this year when he came out of spring training. I honestly thought that he was throwing the ball better than I've ever seen him throw it. He certainly was not throwing the ball 100 miles an hour like he did early in his career, but I thought he was a better pitcher the way he went about hitters. He was able to use both sides of the plate with his fastball and a good slider. And everyone will tell you that relievers go through these stretches. It happens. Closers do. That being said, when you're a team that's scuffling for wins and you're getting ahead early in the game, sometimes not able to add on, it just becomes a more important save than most saves.
Wright drives it to right field. Bradley back, and he has room. That's the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Here are your National League East standings starting the night. The Phillies are playing in St. Louis tonight. The Marlins are taking on the Devil Rays. That's 4-2 Tampa Bay in the third. Braves are playing out west at Anaheim. Here's Beltran, and he takes a curveball for a strike. And as much as the Mets are struggling right now, how about the Braves?
Yeah. Well, they've got lots of injuries. They just got Chipper Jones back, who had a few days off. Bad quadricep.
But the pitching now with Smoltz out for the year, Glavine on the disabled list, Jurgens falling down a flight of steps and hurting himself. They've got JoJo Reyes going tonight against the Angels. Curveball misses to Beltran, 2-1.
The general manager for the Braves, Frank Wren, said he just cringes every time the phone rings because it's one thing or another.
3-1 to Beltran, who drove in the first man run with a single to right. Carlos now with 42 runs batted in, 6 behind right for the club lead. And he takes low ball 4. So Feldman issues his second walk of the night. And Carlos Delgado will come up with a man on.
So Feldman wears his uniform, a little baggy there at the bottom. He would have looked very comfortable in the woolen uniforms in the 40s and 50s. They used to call him, what would they call you're a tall, thin pitcher. You're a big drink of water.
Tall drink of water.
Tall drink of water.
Here's Delgado, who walked and, yes, stole a base his first time up. And they have the overshift on against him. And Carlos bounces one foul, 0-1. Well, what could you ask for more if you're a little kid? Baseball and trucks. All combined. Called a strike. Like Riley said, it was on the corner. Didn't look like that from here or to Delgado, and it's 0-2. '25-year-old Scott Feldman making just his 9th career start. And Delgado goes the other way with it and pokes it foul. And that's exactly what he has to try to do with that sinker away.
Well, you can see by the way that Feldman's pitching him. He occasionally goes to that sinker away, but he's mostly been breaking balls. And that little cutter that I see he has inside, 57 pitches so far. 35 strikes.
Threw 31 of those pitches in the first inning when he gave up the 2 runs. Popped it up. And the second baseman Kinsler, who was already playing about 20 feet out to the outfield, makes the grab to end the inning. 3 in the books now at Shea. Mets 2 and the Rangers 1.
Saturday, June 14th is Nathan's Shea Stadium Replica Day. Get to Mets.com for your tickets to Shea Stadium Replica Day and take the train to the game.
When you wake up, get caught up with the CW11 Morning News. Get the latest news from around the world to around your corner, plus up-to-the-minute traffic and transit reports with CommuterCast and a weather forecast you can plan your day around. The CW11 Morning News, weekdays 5 to 9 a.m. Josh Hamilton swings and misses. As we start the fourth inning, Hamilton hit an opposite field home run his first time up, his 18th of the year, leading the American League in home runs and RBIs. Breaking ball from Perez, 0-2.
The first inning, just got a fastball up and out over the plate, just went with it and just showed amazing power to left field. Flick of the wrist, 1-0.
Hasn't seen a fastball in this at bat. And he doesn't here. It's 1-2. Josh Hamilton lost 4 years, but he is making up for lost time. And he struck out as Perez has his 4th of the night. So 1 down in the 4th. And here's Milton Bradley. Bradley drew a walk his first time up. Milton has hit 14 home runs this year. He has 7 of them against left-handed pitching. That's more than anybody in the American League.
Well, 333 average, but 362 from the right-hand side.
He also hit a right-handed home run against a right-hander. So he's selective. Wow. 1-0. Now Perez behind 2-0. Bradley coming off knee surgery at the end of last season. If you remember, he was with San Diego and he was having a great year carrying the Padres offense. But he got hurt, thrown to the ground by his own manager, trying to keep him away from umpire Mike Winters as they were in a heated confrontation. Winters was eventually suspended for that confrontation as the league ruled that he had acted improperly. 3-0, and he swings and pops it into right field. Chavez moving in. But that knee injury probably cost the Padres a spot in the postseason, because without Bradley's offense, the Padres were really left where they are now, which is as a very impotent offensive team. So 2 out and nobody on. Here's David Murphy. Grounded out to first base his first time up. And a breaking ball swung and missed by Murphy. 0-1. And all of a sudden, Perez getting a lot of mileage out of that slider.
Well, I think he's going to, he can neutralize these left-handed hitters with that slider. I think he's going to occasionally have to pop that fastball to keep them honest. But he's been destroying left-handed hitters all season long.
Given up just 1 hit today, and that was the home run to Hamilton. But you're right, left-hand hitters came in hitting 123 against him. That's part of the reason why. 0-2 to Murphy. Struck him out with a slider. So Oliver Perez gets the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. 1, 2, 3. 5 strikeouts for Oliver. Middle of the 4th, 2-1 New York.
Tomorrow, Pedro Martinez toes the rubber at Shea as the Mets continue their series against Texas. Mets, Rangers. Coverage begins with Capital One Bank pregame live tomorrow at 6:30 only on SNY.
Get your New York sports here.
We check out the Manhattan skyline as the Mets in front of the Rangers 2-1 on a gorgeous night at Shea. And here at Shea, a couple of special guests with me. Mets signing a couple of their top draft picks. Brad Holt, the pitcher out of UNC Wilmington, is to my left and to my right. Reese Havens, a shortstop out of South Carolina. Brad, your first media session with the New York media, and you're still in one piece. How'd you survive it?
I mean, I've had a couple interviews and stuff this year, so I mean, I've kind of gotten used to them. I mean, they weren't bad. Questions weren't too bad. So, I mean, it wasn't that bad of a problem.
Anderson gets that pitch and flies out to Bradley, one away. You were just telling me a great story off there. You know, guys, we've had these conversations all week about pitching and pitch counts. So in the regionals, how many pitches did you just throw?
It was 149.
And what did you hit on the gun, your 149th pitch?
It was 94 on the gun.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it, guys? Let's go over to Reese Evans. Reese, you know, just give a feel. You haven't been here. You signed, but now you're here with the big team. As Schneider pops this one up. And let's see. He's going to stay in play, and Will Shelton will make the play 2 away. Just your impressions coming here with the guys and meeting the players and being here at Shea.
The experience is awesome. You know, this is something you dream about growing up playing. And, you know, I had a great time today. And all the guys in the locker room are, you know, a bunch of great guys, and I really enjoyed it.
You know, as you sit here, and you've been watching these games pretty intently since you've been signed, but you see Jose Reyes is at shortstop. He's a young guy. You're a guy that wants to make it here. Have they talked to you about a position switch, or right now you're just going to go play shortstop and you'll see where it takes you?
Yeah, I think, you know, right now I'm going to play shortstop, and I've had that question asked a lot. And, you know, of course, Reyes is one of the best shortstops in the game. And, you know, I'm just going to, you know, keep working hard and playing. And tell you the truth, I don't care where I'm playing as long as I'm in the lineup.
Give us a little self-scouting report for folks, fans that haven't seen you play. How would you describe yourself?
You know, I come to the ballpark ready to play every day and give it my all, and, you know, just try to have fun with the game and enjoy what I'm doing.
I'll go one more for Brad before we let you guys actually relax. What are you looking most forward to about playing professional baseball? Both of you guys will be with the Brooklyn Cyclones, Brad.
I mean, mostly just the experience. I mean, great competition. Everybody's up here for a reason, so I'm just excited to go ahead and get started and see how it goes.
Chavez is a 2-out single, and guys, a couple of maybe very soon future Mets that they're going to be playing in Brooklyn, so we'll get a chance to see him right here in New York. Let's go back over to you.
Well, I think that that was part of the draft strategy this year for the Mets. They took a lot of college players early in the draft. This is a team that badly needs to restock its farm system with some of the trades that they've made in the last couple of years, and who knows, Mr. Havens and Mr. Holt could be here at Shea before too terribly long, but they'll be in Brooklyn this summer. Oliver Perez with his home run swing, 0-1. Mets #1 pick, Ike Davis, son of former Major League reliever Ron Davis, is yet to sign, but he is a guy who should be fast-tracked as well.
Well, Reese from South Carolina, my brother went there, and your sister is a professor there.
She is.
So we have connections there. UNC Wilmington, our Yale team used to always go down there and play, and when I was down there, they used to always talk about this young basketball player from Wilmington that wasn't too bad, Michael Jordan, that was in high school at the time.
That was past his freshman year when he got cut.
That's right.
0-2 to Oliver Perez, and he watches wide 1-2. Speaking of pitch counts, you were telling me earlier you made 28 starts in college. How many did you finish?
28. It was the Ivy League, though. So 28 for 28. In the last game I pitched at Yale, 176 pitches in a 12-inning affair.
It was the Frank Viola St. John's game.
That's right.
Grounded down to first, a foul ball. That, I mean, that's better than Bob Klapisch.
Well, there's a Columbia connection today. You're a Columbia Lions. Mark Connor, the pitching coach, of course, went to Manhattan College, and his best game was against Columbia when he struck out 20 of your Columbia Lions.
Yeah. Well, it happens.
It does.
1-2. Little tapper off the mound. Feldman lets it go, and Duran makes the play. Smart play that Feldman didn't try and intercept that, and Perez is thrown out to end the inning. Duran with the play coming in. 4 in the books at Shea. 2-1 New York. We go to the 5th inning at Shea. The Mets with a 2-1 lead on Friday the 13th.
Well, Perez has been outstanding so far. The fastball he's kept down to the right-handed hitters to neutralize them, and the left-handed hitters he's just shown a very good slider. Late break when he gets ahead, throwing it out of the strike zone. These middle innings that have always been a little troubling for Perez. We'll see how he gets through them tonight.
Chris Shelton retired on a comebacker his first time up. Shelton, you might remember, 2 years ago got off to an incredible start with the Detroit Tigers. He had 10 home runs in April, and by the end of the year was in the minor leagues. and last year spent all of the season in the minor leagues. Breaking ball hit to right. Chavez chasing back, reaches out to make the catch. And away. That is 11 in a row. Will make it 10 of 11 retired by Perez.
Well, Andy, I'll tell you, even if he misjudges it slightly, he just makes it look so simple. Very great leg work from Andy when he goes back on a ball. That's the guy that, you know, they move him around left field, right field, wherever they need him.
Doesn't seem to matter. Here's Jared Saltalamacchia, who popped up his first time up, and he takes ball one.
And center field's his best position. Doesn't get to play that because the Mets have a pretty good center field themselves. Nice start here by Oliver.
Elijah's 1 run in his last start in San Diego, but this is a little different. San Diego, the worst offensive team in the National League. Texas, the best offensive team in the American League.
But it might bode well for Oliver because early in the game, I don't know if you have seen it, very aggressive team, Texas. They are swinging, not one of those teams that tends to wait Oliver out, so they make him throw a lot of pitches.
1-2 to Saltalamacchia. Well, the Rangers are first in just about every offensive category in the American League. Average, runs per game, home runs. Although the National League has actually outscored the American League this year, which is unusual. Hit in the air to deep left field. Back goes Anderson onto the warning track, right back in front of the fence, and that's the second out. Saltalamacchia gave it a good ride. 2 out and nobody on.
Well, this breaking ball hung in the middle of the plate. Looks like he might have just got it a little off the end of the bat. When he hit it, I thought it was out, but it didn't travel. A nice catch by Marlon.
You know, talking about the National League having outscored the American League, and in every year but one since the DH came in, the American League has had more runs per game than the National League. But isn't it interesting that it's happening this year? Because the difference in the two leagues, more than anything else, is the DH, that one extra hitter. But designated hitters tend to be older players. And in 2008, it is not a great year for older players.
Injury factor. You know, I talked about it before. You know, my age of player, I can only talk for them. My age of player, when you were 35, you were very close to done or out of the league. Good slider there from Ollie. And I think, you know, that's something that's going to have to be you know, looked at if you're a general manager or an owner of a team. You know, how old is old?
Well, in the post-steroid, post-amphetamine world of baseball, and nobody's pretending that it's 100% clean, but I think everybody's gotten the message now with the suspensions that have been handed out in the Mitchell report. The fact of the matter is that some of the aids that were there for the older players aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
Off the corner, and it's 2-2. And I think, you know, you look at the DH numbers in the American League, they're way down.
Yeah.
You look at how some of the older players are faring. I think that baseball is coming back to some kind of sanity, and some teams are taking a bigger hit than others. 2-2 to Duran. Breaking ball struck him out. Oliver Perez with a nasty slider tonight. That is 6 strikeouts for Oliver, and he's on a roll. 1 hit through 5 and a 2-1 Met lead. Well, we mentioned earlier that 5 years ago when the Mets played the Rangers, Jose Reyes made his big league debut at age 19, and he got his first big league hit against the guy who had pitched for the Mets, John Thompson. And I would say, look how young he looks, but he looks just as young now.
Exactly. A little more facial hair, that's it.
And he lines one toward the hole on the backhand, Young, and he has no play. And Reyes has his second hit of the night. Good decision by Michael Young not to make the throw. And the Mets get the leadoff man on in the 5th.
Second baseman, Luis Castillo.
So Reyes, who scored the first Met run after leading off the first inning with a base hit, he is aboard, and here's Castillo. Folks at Elias came up with something very interesting regarding Reyes and how the Mets utilize him on the bases. Remember last night or yesterday afternoon, Reyes got aboard to lead off the last of the ninth, and then Chavez sacrificed him to second base. It was the third time this year that the Mets had moved Reyes from first to second with a sacrifice bunt in the 8th inning or later. He has not scored any of those 3 times. And it really raises the question about the utilization of a guy who's a base stealer in that kind of game tying or game winning situation late in the game.
You know, the one thing that they used to do with base stealers on first, the guy like Castillo on at the plate, they do a little fake bunt, waving that bat in front of the catcher to try to distract him. It's something you don't see done anymore. I like when Reyes steal early in the count, let Castillo try to bunt him to third. That's not a bad play.
Yep. Or even if he's batting from the left side, let him try and pull the ball to the right side, move him over that way. Reyes is not going as Castillo fakes the bunt, and now it's 0-2.
You see that on that left hand, that guard, wrist guard. Try to protect that wrist. Interesting to watch that lead, that right hand just ever so still. Very funny that he has that wrist guard on his left wrist. Every time we watch him steal, it's the right hand that he puts in to tag the base.
Often that left hand will miss the base off to the side. Extends the lead a half a step, and he is not going. And again, Castillo showing bunt on 0-2. That was odd. He had the third baseman Duran back, and I don't think Willie liked the looks of that either. Maybe Castillo forgot the count.
Yeah, very unusual to be. Well, one, you're not faking the bunt, and no one usually, as a hitter, wants to bunt with 2 strikes. Big lead.
Not going. Breaking ball fouled up. I genuinely believe Castillo forgot the count.
Yeah.
Just the way he approached that 0-2 pitch, like he was, taking while showing bunt.
And then after he did it, he snatched the bat back and was like, what was I thinking? Kind of a little mental error, little breakdown that happens.
Got away with it, though, as Feldman threw it out of the strike zone. Now it's 1-2 to Castillo, with Reyes at first and nobody out. And Duran is now in on the grass at third, so that it worked. Reyes runs. The throw to second by Saltalamacchia, not in time. And the Mets have their 3rd stolen base of the night. Reyes is 24th of the year, 2 behind Michael Bourne of the Astros for the league lead.
Well, a huge lead. Feldman doesn't have a good throw. That's a curveball down. All the recipes for success in stealing a base. Gets under that tag, and this time he does get it with both hands.
So 24 steals for Reyes. The Mets with 3 steals on the night now at 65 for the year, playing in their 66th game. Mets came into the night 2nd in the National League in steals, behind the Astros.
Now's the time for Feldman. You're in 2-2 count. You want to throw that cutter in. That curveball is a pitch that Castillo can pull to that right side.
Well, we've already seen Reyes, while on second base, coax a balk from Feldman tonight. Remember what he did in San Diego against Josh Banks. Drew his attention and got a great pitch for Wright to hit. There's the curveball, and it's pulled foul.
Funny how when you're pitching, there's certain pitches that you can throw, but certain pitches and situations are taken out of your repertoire.
You also have a 23-year-old catcher behind the plate.
Yeah, so you're throwing that. You're telling Castillo that's the best pitch for him to pull. You're going to throw him a curveball. But obviously he feels that's his best strikeout pitch, but this man doesn't strike out.
And it's pulled to the right side, and that'll get Reyes over to third. Shelton makes the play on Castillo. Nicely done by Louie. And the Mets have a runner at third with 1 out. Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV.
Let's give some kudos to Castillo. What an at-bat there. He took to get behind the count 0-2. Took pitches for Reyes to try to steal. Had the little mental error, but we'll overlook that. And then was able to pull the ball to the right side, just missing it foul on the curveball, and then the next pitch getting it down to first base. Nice at-bat.
So now right bats with the infield in. Mets leading 2-1 in the 5th, and David bounces one foul. David is lined out to the second baseman. That was in a similar spot in the first inning with the infield playing in. He hit one toward the middle, and Kinsler made a nice backhand grab of the line drive. Then he flied out to right with the bases empty in the 3rd. And right again bounces it foul. He is just pulling everything.
Yeah, the Rangers are just pitching him, jamming him inside with that sinker from Feldman. We've seen the National League pitchers all season long really not pitch him like that. They pitch him more with breaking balls away. It'll be interesting with the 0-2 count now if Feldman tries to bounce a breaking ball away and out of the strike zone.
You saw that 55% mark for Wright, getting that runner in from third with less than 2 out. The league average is right around 58 or 59%.
Switching that grip.
0-2. Lifted to right field. That's well deep enough. Bradley to the edge of the warning track to grab it. Reyes can trot on in, and it's 3-1 New York. Sacrifice fly for David Wright. Another Reyes run. 49 RBIs for Wright. 3-1 New York.
Well, a nice adjustment by David. 2 balls rushing inside. What's he decide to do? Stay inside the baseball and try to go the other way. Hit that ball extremely well on a ball that down. Nice inning by the Mets. Base hit, stolen base, pull the ball to the right side, score a run on a sacrifice fly. Very professional inning.
It was like the '65 Dodgers. Here's Carlos Beltran with Reyes in the role of Maury Wills. 1-0 to Beltran, who singled and drove in a run in the first inning, stole a base and scored one himself, and he walked in the 3rd. He pulls the curveball foul, and it's 1-1. Here's your Sovereign Bank 5th inning recap. Oliver Perez has allowed just 1 hit over the first 5 innings. The home run by Josh Hamilton. Beltran and Wright with RBIs, and errors helped out, and it's 3-1 New York. 1-2 to Beltran. Curveball hit to center field, and Hamilton drifting over, now coming in. That puts an end to the inning, but the Mets create a run, a Reyes run. An infield hit on a ground ball to short, a stolen base, an advancing ground out, and a sacrifice fly by Wright. 3-1.
The Mets Team Store, presented by Majestic at Gate E outside Shea, is open 7 days a week and carries exclusive and commemorative Mets merchandise. Get into the Mets store and look for special offers.
The pitcher Scott Feldman will lead off the 6th inning against Oliver Perez, and he takes low. Feldman has worked at least 6 innings in every start this year. Now, of course, it's a little different in the American League, where you never have to leave for a pinch hitter. And yet that's pretty impressive for a young pitcher who had never started before.
I had some god-awful lines in the American League where I 8 innings, complete game. 8, 6, 6, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, complete game.
Feldman bounces one toward the hole, and he has his first major league hit. Coming in his 2nd at bat, and it's only the 2nd hit against Oliver Perez tonight. Time for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game update and Matt Yeloff.
first inning in St. Louis, the Phillies don't mess around with little singles. They just go back to back to back. Utley, Howard, and this is Burrell, all solo shots. Todd Wellemeyer gives them all up. 4-0 Phillies, top second in St. Louis, Gary.
Number 22 for Chase Utley.
Wow.
It's like Mel Utley.
And that's in St. Louis. That's not Citizens Bank.
Not cheap. Well, Feldman at first base, not looking like he knows exactly what to do as he takes his lead, and Kinsler takes a strike.
Well, he didn't know whether should I stand behind Delgado or should I be in front of him, or he chose behind.
Well, Delgado playing even with the bag against the threat of a bunt by Kinsler, and Feldman is he's lost.
Flare to right, in comes Indy, and he makes the running catch. Tell you what, if that ball had dropped, Feldman was a really good candidate to get forced at second base, because he was only about 3 or 4 steps off the bag.
Well, he's taking this nice 2-foot lead, but Endy getting to this ball by Kinsler. Kinsler off the bat, I thought it was going to drop in, but nice speed by Endy.
So 1 out and 1 on, and Michael Young, the batter. You know, you were talking about unusual pitching lines, and I'm reminded that Oliver Perez had only made 1 prior start against the Rangers back when he was pitching for the Pirates in 2004. As Young takes it in the dirt and Schneider knocks it down. Here was Perez's line from that start: 6 innings, 3 hits, 6 runs, 4 walks, 12 strikeouts.
Oh my God.
Gave up 3 hits. They were all home runs, struck out 12, and got a no decision. But you know, that's what Oliver's capable of doing on a given night, filling that stat sheet, as they say in the NBA.
In the NBA, right?
2-0 now to Young. Dangerous spot here for Oliver against a very good hitter.
I loved your comment today about the NBA playoffs. You said it's good the Celtics won. That means they're 1 game closer to the NBA season being done.
Yep. Here's the 2-0. Hit in the air to center. Beltran barely asked to move. Could he not find that ball? Was that indication, or was he just deking?
I don't know if he was deking, but I will tell you, last inning, Josh Hamilton lost a pop up to center field for a while.
Might have lost it. Castillo was pointing at it for him. There's at least,
oh, that's a deke. That's a deke.
He was checking out the pitcher running at first base. Yep. Nicely done on Beltran's part. That was a Larry Walker play.
That was good.
Walker used to do that all the time. Try and deke runners on balls that were hit over his head, or he'd pretend they were over his head.
I like
ball
that.
went to Hamilton.
Beltran's been here long enough. He's getting a little New York in him. I like that move.
Little chutzpah?
Yes.
Hamilton hit his 18th home run back in the first inning. And he swings and misses. 1-1.
Again from Oliver. That breaking pitch just has been down in the strike zone. The only one he's really missed upstairs with, Saltalamacchia almost hit it out of the ballpark. The first was troublesome.
Another slider, and it's 1-2 to Hamilton. Well, he's found his weapon of choice against the American League's leading home run hitter.
Every pitch is down. We saw from the home run from Hamilton that he likes the ball up, out over the plate.
I can feel a sidearm coming. Nope. Ground ball toward the hole, base hit. Feldman goes to second, and he will absolutely stop there. And so Hamilton has his second hit of the night. And the Rangers now have the tying runs on base with 2 out.
Well, this just tells me that Hamilton this year, if you make a mistake, he's going to get a base hit. Great pitching by Oliver to get ahead. Made one mistake up in the strike zone. Drilled through the hole by Hamilton.
First time tonight that Perez and Schneider have had to operate with a runner at second base, so they get together on the signs. Tickets for the Cyclones 2008 season featuring Reese Havens and Brad Holt are on sale now. Get your tickets at Keyspan Park online at brooklyncyclones.com
by calling 718-507-TIXX or at Shea. It's a tough ticket. Pick him up now. Here's Milton Bradley, who's walked and flied to right. Bradley came into the night as the American League's leading hitter. Talk about numbers being down. Bradley led the league at 333.
Yeah.
And then there's Chipper Jones in the National League, hitting over 400. Knocked down by Schneider, 1-0. Chipper began the night at 414. Lance Berkman 366. Albert Pujols hurt, but at 347. Rick Peterson heads to the mound to talk to Perez, who last 2 pitches has gotten a little out of sync.
Well, I think that I don't think there's any other pitching coach that would do this with any pitcher other than Oliver Perez. Just because of the history he's had in these middle innings, I think Rick wants to go out there and be proactive before something becomes a problem. And I think this is a big part of the game for Oliver, because Bradley is as hot as hot can be, especially from the right side. We saw him make an out on his last at bat, just missing a 3-0 fastball.
Well, you could almost see it with Oliver. He got ahead on Hamilton 1-2, and then he went into that exaggerated crouch in his set position, almost like he was trying to concoct something.
Yeah.
And he threw a bad pitch to Hamilton and bounced the first pitch to Bradley, and all of a sudden you could kind of, and it doesn't take long for him, you could see it breaking down.
The shimmy has started.
And this is a bad spot to shimmy with the tying runs on base and Milton Bradley up. The 1-0 fastball fouled away, and it's 1-1.
That was a good pitch. Here's the batting average leaders. Bradley on top. J.D. Drew having a great year.
Joe Mauer, who's won a batting title.
And Matsui and Damon have to try to figure out how they're going to get them in the lineup with no DH and against Houston.
Matsui with a grand slam last night to beat Oakland. The only offense the Yankees had. 1-1 to Bradley, and that slider missed. 2-1. Low, ball 3. So now Perez painting himself into a corner. He's got the tying runs on base, behind on an excellent hitter, 3-1. You got the left-hand batting David Murphy on deck. 3-1 to Bradley. On the outside corner with the fastball, 3-2.
Good pitch there by Oliver. 3-1. Fastball on the knees, painting the outside corner. Beautiful pitch. Can he double up with that pitch?
That was his 90th pitch of the night. The runners will get set to go with 3-2 and 2 down. Remember, you have the pitcher Feldman running at second. 3-2. Ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So Oliver issues just his second walk of the night. They've both gone to Bradley, a 3-2 slider that missed.
I'd have to say that Brian Schneider thinking there, after they made the good 3-1 pitch, wanted to go to the 3-2 slider. If they miss, even though the bases are loaded, they feel confident with the ability Perez has had all year against left-handed hitters that they'll be able to get David Murphy out.
Murphy is grounded to first base and struck out. The Rangers have already hit 6 grand slams as a team this year. We're in the middle of June. And Murphy takes the breaking ball for a strike. Remember, 2 years ago the Mets had a plethora of grand slams. Heck, they hit 2 in 1 inning in Chicago. Oh, and 1 to Murphy. Rolled over and fouled up the first base side. Down to Gary Pettis, former Mets coach, now coaching first for the Rangers.
Schneider going out to Perez now. They want to be on the same page. Of course, if you're going to throw this breaking pitch, it cannot be a strike. Made that mistake with Hamilton.
At the same time, if it's in the dirt, Schneider's got to be alert.
Yeah.
With a runner at third. struck him out. Oliver Perez fans David Murphy to strand 3. Strikeout number 7 for Oliver. Big pitch in a big spot. 3-1 New York.
Time for our Aflac trivia question tonight.
Aflac!
Last time the Rangers played at Shea was July 9th of '75 when the Yankees played their second of 2 seasons here. Who threw a complete game shutout for the Rangers in that last game here?
I got that one.
You do?
Yes, I do.
That's outstanding.
Yes.
That you do.
Oh.
Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Now broadcasting in over 90 HD channels.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing, Gary? On this, when they move their infield, they bring Duran to play in the middle of the diamond. Young stays in his position at shortstop.
Interesting. I haven't seen that before. Usually they just move everybody over, but here they overlap the third baseman. That's Duran just to the right of second base. I did not catch that. That's a good get. Delgado loops one into shallow right center. That'll fall for a base hit. Over to plate is Bradley. He bobbles it. Delgado will take the extra base, and he arrives safely. That is the second time on this homestand that Delgado has taken advantage of a right fielder's error to take an extra base.
And he was anticipating this as he came out of the box. This ball on the backhand of Bradley. Not an easy play. But bobbles it. See Delgado, he's hustling, anticipating. Not assuming he's going to come up with it, anticipating a bobble. Got it. Did not have to slide. Good play by Carlos.
This is a dreadful defensive team.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the Rangers are a .500 team despite having by far the best offense in the major leagues, and you can see why.
Did they give him a double, though?
I've not heard a scoring decision yet. I think they're debating. Marlon Anderson, the batter, with nobody out, and Marlon lifts one down the left field line, and that'll settle in the seats out of play. And they've scored it a double. Wow. Somebody's gone soft.
Well, let's see if the Mets can do it again. Nice picture book inning last inning. Now you have a guy on second, Delgado, no outs. Anderson, let's see if he can get that curveball or cutter in from Feldman. Base hit to right, or at least move him over.
Marlon hit the ball hard his last time up, lining out to right field. First time up, reached on an error by Duran at third. Pulls it foul. And now Marlon finds himself in a 2-strike hole. Anderson looking for his first hit since coming off the disabled list this week. And he's seen his batting average shrink to 148. Ryan Schneider waiting on deck. Marlon took the bull by the horns this week with his 62 Mets sheet that he handed out, indicating how many wins the Mets needed. But the problem in baseball, and I guess it's true of any sport, is that the perception is that you're only as smart as your batting average. And if you're not performing well, it's hard to take a leadership position. Although it's admirable that Marlon stepped forward to do that. Mets are at a spot right now, having lost 6 of their last 7 games, and every single one of them in excruciating fashion, where you know it's got to be wearing on this ball club. And what it's done now is lead to increased speculation about Willie Randolph's future.
Well, I can only talk from experience, and the only time that I ever had a manager change during the course of the season was when Davey Johnson was replaced by Buddy Harrelson. But that happened because Davey Johnson and Frank Cashen, the general manager, were butting heads. And in those days, the general manager always won.
That was in 1990. Tomahawk down the right field line toward the corner, off the base of the wall. Delgado turns third, he'll score. Anderson stops at first with a single off the wall, and it's 4-1 New York. A tomahawk chop.
Much needed from Marlon Anderson. There's some weight off his shoulders. See that little move? Trying to go that cutter in. Stayed up over the plate. Nice short stroke from Marlon. And that ball hit the base of the wall, came right back to Bradley, and more importantly, the run of Delgado. Marlon busting out of the box. There's nothing you can do there. That's just long single.
So the Mets build a 3-run lead, and you saw that graphic a moment ago. First time in franchise history the Mets have squandered a lead of 3 or more runs in 4 straight games. So this is a team right now that has to be thinking no lead is safe.
Marlon has some speed, not great speed. Maybe put the hit and run on.
Schneider has popped up in both his at-bats, and he takes a strike. Well, Kevin Burkhardt, you've been in and around that clubhouse, and these are troubling times for this team and this manager, and it's interesting to watch how different guys handle that.
You know, I think there's a lot of talk, or not talk, but feeling that this team doesn't play hard for Willie, and I don't think that's true. And I tried to pull a lot of guys. As Schneider rips one down the line, that's going to fall in. Anderson will go to third. The Mets have a little rally going here. First and third with nobody out. Guys, I tried to get a little feel of the clubhouse today. Just take an informal poll and get a pulse of what guys think about the streak and what they think about playing for Willie as we check the replay, Ronnie.
Yeah, just a little changeup away from Feldman and just dumped into right field by Brian Schneider. And like you said, Kevin, a nice little rally here for the Mets who could use one.
Well, I think, guys, the bottom line is I think these guys do play for Willie. And you know, one of the quotes I got today, you know, you can't put the blame on the manager in our situation here. We haven't performed, but you can't fire 25 players. But how about this perspective? One person told me, I do not want to be a part of altering someone's life. Forget about the baseball. They're talking about affecting somebody's life and their livelihood and things like that. And that's motivation for that person. Another person told me, you know what? Last year, anytime anybody talks about last year, my name is going to be brought up with that forever. And that bothers me to no end. And that's motivation to erase that. And in my mind, the only way to erase that is to have success the following year. Those were two really unique takes that I hadn't heard before, guys.
Well, you know what it comes down to is one of the prime motivating factors in any walk of life, but particularly in a public sphere like sports, is embarrassment. Andy Chavez with first and third and nobody out. And when managers get fired, players get embarrassed.
You do get embarrassed. And that's all good, Kevin, that players are motivated. But the bottom line is wins and losses. So they're motivated, but they're still under 500. So, you know, there are things that have happened that.
Chavez rips it down the right field line. Fair ball bouncing off the sidewall. In to score is Anderson. Schneider to third. He'll stop there. In at second, Andy Chavez with a run-scoring double. And it's 5-1 New York.
Well, again, trying to come inside with that little cutter. Didn't have as much on it as he had earlier in the game. And just a beautiful swing by Andy Chavez, keeping that just fair on the chalk. Marlon, of course, scores. And Schneider first to third. Hustling all the way, thinking that maybe he has a chance to score, but no outs. Nice play by Sandy Alomar Sr. Keep him right there.
And that's going to be all for Scott Feldman. Ron Washington, the Texas manager, going to the home plate umpire and trying to figure out how to do a double switch. The first one that he's been called upon to make this year, and it's taking him a while. And he's still discussing it with Mike Riley. How exactly do we do this? We put this guy here. That guy goes there.
Boy, it's tough in this league, isn't it, Mike?
It's a lot different game. And they're still trying to figure it out. This call to the bullpen, when they finally make it, will be brought to you by Verizon. Switch to Verizon Fios, TV, internet, phone. 5-1 New York in the sixth. Think you know your New York sports? Then put it to the test. Chris Carlin and Julie Alexandria hit the town and take some tough sports trivia to the fans on Beer Money. Sunday at 7, only on SNY. Double switch for the Rangers. Marlon Byrd comes in to play left field. He'll bat ninth. And on to pitch is right-hander Josh Roop.
Josh Roop from Virginia Beach, Virginia, has tossed 36 1/3 relief innings this year. Thrown 2 innings or more in 12 of 14 appearances. So he has been their long man this season. Much used.
Same age and from the same part of the world as David Wright. You'd have to figure they know each other. We'll ask David about that tomorrow. Oliver Perez now 4 runs to the good, and the Mets have a chance to blow a little more distance between themselves and the Rangers. The infield comes in. Schneider a slow runner at third. Chavez a fast runner at second. Perez tonight has struck out and grounded out. He's driven in 1 run this year. Takes Roop's first offering up and away for ball 1. Josh Roop, originally drafted by the White Sox back in 2002 out of junior college. And Perez taking all the way. It's 2-0.
You're the pitcher here. You got to take this pitch. Roop hasn't thrown one even close.
And there's a strike. 2-1. I mentioned that the Rangers overall have the worst staff ERA. Well, their relief pitchers also have the worst staff ERA in the American League.
It's approaching 6, isn't it?
The end of the game for Texas is not bad. They've got the veteran Eddie Guardado pitching the 8th inning and C.J. Wilson pitching the 9th, and they've done well, but it's everybody else getting to that 8th inning. 2-1, punched over short, base hit for Perez. In to score is Schneider. Racing right behind him is Chavez. Bird's throw to the plate on a hop that gets by, and he missed the plate, but he goes back to touch it. It's a 2-run single for Oliver Perez, and it's 7-1 New York.
Well, Perez gets a hit. Fastball down the middle. Goes with it with the infield in. Just gets it over the head of Michael Young. Of course, Schneider's going to score easy. Back at the regular position, of course, that is an out, but Rangers defense in to try to shut that off. And he had to go around the plate because Saltalamacchia was right in front of it. Look at Pedro.
So 5 straight hits for the Mets have produced 4 runs here in the 6th, and now Reyes with still nobody out. And Reyes lines it to short. One hopper grabbed by Young, and they turn 2. Now Reyes hit a shot, but right at Michael Young, who fielded the short hop and the 6-4-3 double play. Now 2 out and nobody on. Oliver Perez, smile on his face after his 4th hit of the year, produces 2 runs.
Bragging rights for a day for the other starting pitcher.
And tack on runs for the New York Mets. And off what has happened over the last week, this 6-run lead looms large. Here's Luis Castillo taking ball 1.
Well, we mentioned before the game what the Mets could really use as a team, just as a nice day would be a laugher, as ball players call it. One of those where the game's certainly feels out of reach.
Well, you go back to the start of the series in San Diego 8 days ago. They lost 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. They blew the lead late on Sunday with a 3-run homer by Clark. Lost by 2. They came back on Tuesday. They blew a 4-run lead and lost 9-5. And then the meltdowns in the late innings the last 2 days. I mean, every game has been a game where they've either had a chance to win or had a big lead that got away. And now here they are finally with a significant lead at 7-1. But the way things are going right now, I'm sure nobody in that dugout feels entirely secure. 3-2 to Castillo.
You know, the thing, Gary, this is the microcosm what's happened this year. At certain times this year, you've said to yourself, boy, offense looks like it's going to break out. It's not happened. At certain times this year, like right now, the starting pitching looks, boy, you can get on a roll with guys throwing consecutive games that are this quality. It's not happened.
You see the Mets have lost 3 games at Shea this year in which they led by 4 runs or more. That ties the most in team history in one season, and it's only June.
The relief pitching at times has been the strength of this team, and they've struggled recently. So haven't been able to put those 3 facets of the game together at the same time.
Chopped out to third, and Duran throws out Castillo, but the Mets fashion a big inning with 5 straight hits. Oliver Perez cashed the last 2 runs, and he's now got a 7-1 lead. Get to Shea tomorrow night as the series with the Texas Rangers continues at 7:10 p.m. Pedro Martinez on the mound. Get to the phone at 718-507-TIXX or visit Mets.com to get your print at home tickets. Oliver Perez now staked to a 6-run lead as we start the 7th inning. Chris Shelton takes inside, ball 1. Shelton has hit a comebacker and fly to right 0 for 2. Perez has allowed just 3 hits tonight, worked out of a bases loaded mess in the 6th. At the time he had just a 3-1 lead. Now it's 7-1, but he falls behind the leadoff hitter Shelton 2-0. 6, 7, and 8 in the order up for Texas here in the 7th. And Shelton takes a strike, 2-1.
You see that? The communication between catcher and pitcher. 2-0, throws a strike down the middle. Schneider with the head nod. Yes, that's what you do. Let's go after these hitters. 2 in a row.
Get another head nod.
1 head nod per bat.
Maybe a fist pump to get a 3rd strike. 2-2. Foul back. Oliver has not won a game since he beat the Yankees 4 weeks ago. And the slider fouled off. Only 2 walks tonight for Oliver as he reaches the 100-pitch plateau. 2 walks in a season in which he's averaged 6.2 walks per 9 innings. 2-2. And Shelton takes it in there for a call, strike 3. 8 strikeouts now for Oliver Perez. That matches his season high.
Well, nice pitching coming back from 2-0 following the slider down. Fastball right down the middle on the knees.
So 1 out in the 7th. And now Perez will face Jared Saltalamacchia, who's popped up and fly deep to left. 1-0. "14 letters, a major league record."
Didn't even have to do anything. Set a record.
But to be born.
You had to make the big leagues. That's what you had to do.
See, what gets me is not the 14 letters.
Yeah.
It's the 6 syllables.
Yeah, you're right. It got me earlier in the game. I know you guys noticed at home.
I mean, I get hung up on Encarnacion.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me to say, too.
But that's only 5 syllables. Saltalamacchia. That's just, it's outrageous. Armpit to armpit. Two-1. Swung and missed at the fastball, and Perez over 100 pitches and showing good gas.
We just saw the Diamondbacks come in as you see this fastball by Oliver. What would Jose Cruz do? the tall, skinny right-handed reliever of the Diamondbacks. If his name was that many syllables, no chance.
Pulled down to third, diving stop by Wright, gets to his feet and throws him out. Gold glove play by David Wright, 2 men down.
As David gets deeper into his career, you know what I like? When he makes these great plays, he just gets up, knows how much time he has, gets the glove on it, and you'll see no really jumping up and not being ready. Just not that big a sense of urgency, just very relaxed.
And have you noticed
confident
over the last few weeks, Ronnie, his throws have been truer?
Yes.
Here's Herman Duran, the third baseman, and he takes ball 1. Early sailing to the home plate side of first.
That's always a difficult thing for third baseman. It's that ball that comes back towards the runner. Howard Johnson, who I played with for many years, had a big difficulty with that. Always trying to iron that out, and David's gotten truer and truer as the seasons wore on.
2-1 to Duran. Remember when Hojo was struggling with his throws, Ralph Kiner delivered the famous line, "Been more talk about his lack of an arm than anyone since the Venus de Milo."
That's funny, Ralph.
Perez behind 3-1 against the number 8 hitter. And he throws the fastball, and it's hit foul down the right field line. That was one of Ralph's top 5. To me, number 1 on the list was his Gary Maddox
yes,
line.
I like that line.
2/3 of the earth is covered with water. The other third is covered by Gary Maddox.
And you know what? It was great having him yesterday. He's just amazing to have around the booth. You just feel like you're with royalty when you're around Ralph.
3-2, and Duran takes ball 4. A third walk given up by Perez. A 2-out walk. And shaking his head. Really thinking it over. The bullpen is quiet. 112 pitches for Oliver, but he's going to get at least one more batter with Marlon Byrd coming up for the first time.
Of all the starting pitchers on the Mets team, while he's been here, it seems that Willie, on Oliver's good nights, has no problem leaving him probably in for the most pitches of all the starters.
Well, the problem with Oliver is that he'll start going in a hurry. But when you have a 6-run lead, you've got time.
Yes.
And Willie understands that. He also has used a ton of bullpen over the last few days and would like as many innings as he can get from Oliver. Byrd, the former Philly, swings and misses, and it's 0-2.
Marlon Byrd, one of those young men that had a choice to make. He was an amazing football player in high school. Of course, great in baseball.
Oh, 0-2 to Byrd. Races away the slider. Mets bullpen gets cooking as Joe Smith is the first man up. You got Kinsler and Young, a couple of right-hand hitters next, and then the lefty Josh Hamilton, so Schoenweiss can take his time. But Perez trying to complete the top of the 7th. Popped it up in foul ground. That'll head over toward the stands and out of play. Well, Perez already with his season high pitch count. This pitch as a Met pitcher has thrown this year is 121. John Maine did that. But Willie and Rick asking for more out of Perez tonight. 0-2 to Byrd. Line drive to left. Marlon Anderson picks it off to end the inning. 7 innings for Oliver Perez, helped out by the defense. David Wright with the diving stop. 7th inning stretch time at Shea, 7-1 New York. And there is Carlin, along with another Chris. Carlin and Cotter. Couple of dudes out on the town.
Those two together look like Laurel and Hardy, the 2008 version.
The former Philly, Robinson Tejeda, takes over the pitching for Texas.
Well, Robinson last year started some games for the Rangers. He was moved back and forth from the bullpen to startings. 19 games started last year, 5-9 with a 6.5 ERA.
David Wright pops up the first pitch he sees from Tejeda, and it's back in the crowd, 0-1. David tonight 0 for 2. He's driven in a run with a sacrifice fly. His 49th run batted into the season. When the Phillies had Tejeda back in 05, he made 3 starts that year against the Mets, and he was terrific. Memory serves, he might have even hit a home run against them.
Oh, jeez.
So you got a bunch of former Phillies in this game. You got Marlon Byrd, Marlon Anderson, and Tejeda. Oliver Perez getting congratulations on a job well done. 7 terrific innings tonight. Well, that is 3 straight spectacular starts. Pelfrey, Santana, and Perez all going at least 7 innings, and pitching arguably for all 3 of them their best games of the year.
And let's see if Oliver can get the win this time. 2 no decisions by those other great efforts.
117 pitches tonight for Perez. His right fouls it off. In the last 4 games, the Mets bullpen has allowed 17 earned runs and 5 home runs in 15 innings. They need 6 outs tonight with at least a 6-run lead. 1-2 to right. Foul ball back up to 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
And I think maybe for Joe Smith, who's probably coming into the game, faced right-handed Kinsler and Young, a little breathing room for the bullpen when they come in. Two
and 2 now to right. Well, there you see the numbers the last 7 games. The starters have certainly held up their end, but the bullpen has been inflammatory.
That number right there, 6 home runs, is big number for a bullpen. No, it looks like Schoenweiss is coming in.
And it all started with the Schoenweiss game back in San Diego 8 days ago.
Hit batter, right?
3 walks, the last one intentional, and then he hit Paul McAnulty in the shoulder. That was the first of those 3 consecutive 2-1 losses. And you know, if you go back to before that game, the Met bullpen had been terrific.
Been one of the strengths of the team.
Yeah. Struck him out. Fastball by Tejeda gets right for the first out here in the bottom of the 7th.
And honestly, Gary, my call will be if they get continued starting pitching like that, they'll rebound because they'll have a chance to get some rest. That it gives them a chance for, you know, just to be out of a game occasionally. It seemed like for a while there, every game, Mets bullpen was up in the 5th inning, ready to go.
Here's Beltran, who singled, walked, and flied out 1 for 2. He's driven in a run tonight. He takes a strike. And then, as far as the starters are concerned, you know, tomorrow night you got Pedro making his 3rd start back from the disabled list. Took a little bit of a step backward in his last start against the Padres, after pitching well enough against the Giants.
You know, watching this Texas team, though, reminds me a little bit of the free-swinging Marlins that Pedro always has had success against because they're ready to swing. He's able to pitch in the strike zone early and then go out of the strike zone late.
1-1 to Beltran. Breaking ball bounced foul.
And plus, for you fans who have never been to the great ballpark in Arlington, whatever they call it, it's really a hitter's park. It's the American League version of Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia.
They've got that jet stream that blows out to right center field there. And on hot, breezy nights, which is just about every night, the ball really flies. Taken high, 2-2. In fact, the Mets played the first ever game at the ballpark in Arlington.
It was like a spring training game.
Exhibition game.
Exhibition.
Just as they played the first ever game at Camden Yards, played the first ever game at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Mets were like guinea pigs in all those places. Line drive right field. It'll stay up for Bradley, who had to make the dive to stay with it. That's the second out.
Well, for you folks at home, these big league lights are great when the ball's in the air, but occasionally when you get these line drives, they'll get lost in the lights just for a short amount of time. That's what happened to Bradley here, as he lost sight of it, caught sight of it again, and just able to cradle it for the out.
Caught it with a chicken wing. So 2 out and nobody on. Here's Delgado, who's 1 for 2. Double to right center, and you not only have the second baseman, but the third baseman playing way out of the outfield. Now, if he hits the ball up the middle to where Duran is playing 10 feet into the outfield, you think he has a chance to beat that out?
Well, if he hits it hard, no. But if he hits one of those soft ones that just gets over the head of the pitcher, no, he won't be able to do it.
I mean, I've never seen a fielder play there.
Yeah.
That's a softball short fielder.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the second baseman playing well onto the outfield because they have the shorter throw and time to make that play. But again, you've got the third baseman overlapping out there into shallow center, and he's way back there. 2-1 now to Delgado. That's what you call a lot of space between the shortstop and the line. A breaking ball by Tejeda, and it's 2-2.
That's almost like playground baseball. Remember when you used to play playground baseball? Good slider from Tejeda. You'd always not have enough guys, so you'd leave one of the fields open, the opposite field open. Left-hander, no left fielder. Right-hander, no right fielder.
Get to right field, it's an out.
That's right. Go sit down.
Let's see you go to the opposite field. Drive to right field, and Bradley's right there, and that ends the inning. So 1-2-3 inning for Robinson Tejeda, but Delgado continues to hit the ball well. 7 in the books at Shea. 7-1 New York.
Sunday, June 15th is Father's Day Travel Mug Day, presented by Lincoln Mercury. Visit Mets.com to get your tickets for Dad.
Let's answer our Athletic Trivia question for tonight. Ronnie says he knows the answer.
I do.
Last time the Rangers played at Shea against the Yankees in '75, who threw the complete game shutout?
It's a Canadian.
Ferguson Jenkins?
There you go.
There you go. Hall of Famer.
We love the Canadians.
6-time 20-game winner. Scott Schoenweiss comes on to pitch the 8th inning.
Schoenweiss last pitch on June 12th, sorry. See his numbers there, 2.36. Like all the relievers, Scott Schoenweiss has had a minuscule ERA. It's gone up, of course, of late. But nice inning here for him to work out the kinks and get back to that great pitching he had in the beginning of the year. Nice to see Willie and Rick Peterson having a little talk and smile for a change. Nothing's better. A little 6-run lead loosens everyone up.
Winning solves everything.
Oh, yes, it does.
Top of the batting order, Ian Kinsler, 0 for 2. He's also been hit by a pitch. Oliver Perez, 7 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. Terrific performance by Perez tonight against the best offensive team in the major leagues. And Kinsler pops it up a mile high into shallow center. And Beltran jogs in to get it, 1 away. So 1 out and nobody on for Schoenweiss. Let's check in with the studio and New York State Smokers Quid Line update.
and Matt Yaloff.
Oh, those Phillies keep pouring it on. Fourth inning with a 4-1 lead. Shea with a couple more RBIs. He has 3 on the night, 61 on the season. It's 8-1 Phils in St. Louis. Top 4. Gary, back to you.
So the Phillies playing the lone National League game tonight and doing some damage in St. Louis. So Michael Young takes inside ball 1. And as much pressure as the Mets are putting on themselves, the way the Phillies are playing, it continues to put that much more on. Young is 0 for 3 tonight, struck out, grounded into a double play, fly to center. In fact, Young is now 0 for his last 11 since his 23-game hitting streak.
That's the longest in the American League this year, right? I think Kinsler, his teammate, had the second longest one.
Michael Young, over the course of his season, does not take many offers. 2-1. Aerial coverage tonight, and it has been gorgeous. Brought to you by DirecTV, now broadcasting over 90 HD channels, including ours.
Really? HD every game.
Two-1, and it's off the plate. 3-1. Well, Oliver Perez was magnificent tonight, and he's standing by with Kevin Burkhardt.
All right, guys, thanks. Oliver, it looked like your slider was real sharp tonight. Did that pitch feel good for you?
Yeah, that was feeling good. I was throwing the pitch and the spot I want to throw, and that worked for today.
In the 6th inning, bases were loaded for the Rangers, and that was a spot, I'd say the last 4 starts, where you'd had some trouble getting through. What did you think about before you got the strikeout?
Well, I understand. Sometimes it can happen. You just have to focus for the hitter and trying to make outs.
What's been different for you the last 2 starts? It seems like you're back in your comfort zone.
Yeah, I was trying to make pitch, trying to throw strikes. I was trying to throw the ball in the middle because I don't want to walk people. That's why I want to make outs, and that's it.
I know you, Maine, and Pelfrey have a lot of competition with your hitting, and when you had that hit, before you hit first base, you were staring in the dugout. It looked like at Maine. Did you have any trash talk for him there?
Because every pitcher just laughing about that. But that was very important for us, and we had to win today.
Before we let you go, you walk back here with Pedro Martinez. How much of a help has he been for you, and just in talking you through certain things?
He's been helping me a lot, and I just say thank to him, and I just had to keep working, come tomorrow, do my work, and get ready for my next start.
Oliver, nice stuff. Good luck in the Mets securing this one for you, okay?
Thank you.
All right, guys, Oliver Perez certainly had his stuff today, and the phone call, Gary's for you, back upstairs.
I thought maybe it was the president calling after that terrific performance.
Oh, man.
Josh Hamilton had the only dent against Perez tonight, a home run back in the 1st inning. And a cut at the fastball and on him, and it's 1-2. Hamilton had 2 of the 3 hits against Perez.
Nice pitch. Looks like Mr. Hamilton has a little hole there. Up and in.
Just don't throw it up and away.
Yeah, that's right.
1-2, breaking ball, emergency cut, and he fouled it off. Josh Hamilton's home run in the 1st inning, his 18th of the year. Now has 72 runs batted in, and both those figures lead the American League. Schoenweis ahead 1-2. And the slider misses 2-2.
See a little exchange from Schneider. The ball's in the dirt. So immediately hands it to Mike Riley, the umpire. He throws it out. There's a new ball. That's something that's been around for about 10 years now, maybe less than that. Because when I played, you pitched with a ball in the dirt all the time.
You wanted a ball in the dirt.
Oh, man, absolutely. Get a little scuff.
Drive to deep center field. Beltran back, warning track, and he runs it down. Got a little confused on the route, and then at the end as well. But Beltran gets there to secure it and gives Schoenweis a 1-2-3 8th inning. That part of the ballpark has played very strangely this year with Citi Field up and left. Beautiful shot of the Chrysler Building from our blimp as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. And that's with a 7-1 lead. in their first ever Shea Stadium game against the Texas Rangers. Marlon Anderson leads off the home 8th inning. Marlon was part of the 4-run 6th that gave the Mets some separation in this game. He drilled a single off the base of the wall in right field. Robinson Tejeda pitching his 2nd inning of relief for Texas. And there's a strike 1-1. There are your City probable pitchers for tomorrow. Kason Gabbard, who was acquired by the Rangers from the Red Sox last summer, being brought up from the minor leagues to pitch tomorrow against another guy who used to pitch for the Red Sox.
He had some pretty good years over there, didn't he?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
6:30 the coverage tomorrow on SNY as Pedro makes his 3rd start coming back from the disabled list. And it's been interesting since he's been back. Not only seeing Pedro try and get himself back in a groove as Anderson pulls it down to first. Shelton bobbles and makes the toss to Tejeda for the first out. But as Kevin was mentioning with Oliver Perez, to see how much Pedro has been doing with the other pitchers, particularly the starters on the staff. Maybe they spent a lot of time with Mike Pelfrey. He always tries to be of counsel to Oliver Perez.
Well, you know, for Pedro's done what they aspire to be. And when you were around someone like that that's had so much success, Cy Youngs, strikeouts galore, world champion, you know, you want to be next to those people. You want to be around them. You want that excellence to somehow rub off on you. And I think that Pedro, probably early in his career, was not early, not talking about a rookie.
Under the glove of Shelton, and Schneider is aboard. There was no reason for Shelton to play that ball the way he did with Schneider running, and it went right under his glove. 2nd error of the night for the Rangers.
What you do on this ball, because Schneider can't run very quickly, big swing with the bat that breaks, is you break it down. You break it down and you get down and get in front of the ball, and if it takes a bad hop, then it'll hit you in the chest. He was playing like there was an urgency to get that ball and get to the bag. So we have seen none of the hitting by the Rangers tonight, but a lot of the problems that they have with their fielding.
The bad pitching, the bad fielding. 2nd error of the game, 3rd of the year for Shelton. Met fans, for an in-depth look at all the top Mets highlights in each game, log on to SNY.TV and check out the IOHD plays of the game located in the IOHD video lounge. Andy Chavez 2 for 3 tonight. Had 2 hits yesterday as well. Doubled in a run his last time up. You know, talking about Pedro, and you were talking about early in his career.
Well, I was thinking that, you know, not his rookie season, but I'm talking about one of his Boston years. You know, I know the people who are up there. He wasn't that kind of pitcher. I mean, he was locked in to having those great years that he had in Boston, and probably didn't spend a lot of time talking with younger pitchers. But here, you know, in the twilight of his amazing career, a chance to work with all these young pitchers, and it's probably one of those things that he picked up in his rehab assignment, spending all that time in Port St. Lucie, rehabbing that arm, being around young, I'm talking about 17, 18, 19-year-old pitchers, and helping them out.
Chavez to center field, and Hamilton makes the grab for the 2nd out. And back to first goes Schneider. But also, I think for Pedro, some of this is about giving back, because he had the advantage as a young pitcher of having his brother, who was an accomplished big league pitcher, and Pedro gives enormous credit to Ramon for teaching him the finer points of being a big league pitcher.
Yeah, Ramon was an outstanding pitcher. If you talk about Pedro Martinez stuff as 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, 7.5, 8 for his brother. Just outstanding stuff. Threw a little bit like Tejeda you're watching here. A lot of big arm movement, almost like an Iron Mike. Long arm, and then it would shoot that fastball about 90, 92, but had really that power changeup that he threw was his signature pitch.
Yeah, before everybody was throwing changeups, he had as good a right-hander's changeup as there was.
And remember, he probably had a lot to do with helping Pedro refine his.
Chris Aguila pinch hitting, swings and misses, 0-2. And you know, before Ramon Martinez hurt his arm, he was one of the dominant starters in the National League. Chris Aguila 1 for 5 since being called up from New Orleans. He had a base hit his first time up after being called up. Takes inside 1-2. As far as what Pedro's passing along, do you think it's more physical or just more mental, about the mental part of the game?
Yeah, I think it's more the mental part of the game, how to go about getting hitters out. You've seen Pelfrey now his last 3 starts, especially his last one. His ability to use that fastball more. I'm sure those are all things that Pedro can help.
There's your Roslyn Savings Bank Mets box score. And it's been up and down the lineup tonight. A 4-run 6th inning. The Mets put together 5 straight hits. Not pictured there, the 2-run single by Oliver Perez that broke this game open and made it 7-1. 1-2 to Aguila, and he fouls that one back. By the way, the Phillies wound up scoring 9 runs in the 4th inning, and they lead the Cardinals 13-1.
On Friday the 13th. Lucky number for the Phillies.
They may not be done. It's only the 4th. And Aguila bounces one over the bag, just foul. Schneider will come on back. 1-2 to Aguila. And here is your Toyota Outtown scoreboard. Kevin Slowey working on that shutout for Minnesota in Milwaukee. Rockies leading the first place White Sox, who lead by 5.5 in the AL Central. Braves have JoJo Reyes going in Anaheim. There's the Phillies score in the bottom of the 4th now. Phillies hit 3 home runs early in that game, back to back to back. Utley with his 22nd. And Aguila continues to foul them off. Yankees and Astros tied 1-1 in Houston. Rain delay in the 1st inning in Cleveland. Detroit leading the Dodgers 2-0. Baltimore on top of Pittsburgh. Toronto leading the Cubs. Cincinnati home runs by Jay Bruce and Adam Dunn. Good pitching by Aaron Harang, and they beat the Red Sox. 1-2. It's fouled again. It's 5 in a row that Aguila's fouled back. And you saw right at the bottom of that scoreboard, Tampa Bay leading Florida 6-3 as they play in the 8th. And a little different feeling to that series this year.
Probably the first time that it matters to both teams is Tampa Bay, of course, that great start, in Florida playing well.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat to Chris Aguila. And he struck him out. So Tejeda wins that battle, has his 2nd strikeout, and the Mets are done in the bottom of the 8th. Mets 3 outs away from a routine victory. Can they do it? 7-1 as we go to the 9th. Right after the game, get all your post-game coverage from Matt and Maz on Nissan Post-Game Live. Exclusive interviews, highlights, in-depth expert analysis, plus all the post-game buzz from the clubhouse. Nissan Post-Game Live right after the game, right here on SNY. Mr. Met making friends wherever he goes.
Gets lots of hugs, Mr. Met.
You worry about all the little kids taking shots at that big dome of his.
I'm always fearful of the little guys in the front row. I met those guys today. Those 2 are twins. I met them in the elevator today.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, they've got their gloves and they know how to use them.
I asked them who their favorite player was. One said Jose Reyes, other David Wright. Brothers, you can't even agree on that.
You see that kid? He had the Duaner Sanchez goggles on. There's the kid.
Nice look.
So his guy's coming in. There he is.
Those are a little more expensive. Dwaner Sanchez. Sanchez, who's still trying to come back, 5.26 ERA. It really just seems for Dwaner, when he is feeling good and his arm feels lively, no problem.
Milton Bradley batting left-handed for the first time tonight, takes ball 1.
But he's had some games where it really looks like, doesn't it, Gary, that he just is not 100%.
And you wonder whether that's physical at this point or if it's still him a little shy about cutting loose.
Yeah. Well, I would say that's the latter, Gary. Just getting himself to that place where he was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now.
And Bradley fouls it back, 1-2. Bradley's walked twice, otherwise flied out. 0 for 1. Bounce foul. 1-2 to Bradley. Changeup misses 2-2. Well, the Long Island native Frank Catalanato has come out on deck to pinch hit, with the pitcher spot due up next for the Rangers. There's Frank, now 34 years old. Grew up in Smithtown. Two-two. Changeup fouled back. Bradley hanging in there.
Where's Smithtown? All the way out in the island?
Not that far.
Okay.
North Shore.
North Shore?
Huntington, Northport, Smithtown.
Okay. I should know that. I'm in Northport all the time.
Two-two. And the fastball low, 3-2. Frank has moved one stop further out on the Port Jefferson branch. He now lives in St. James.
Oh, nice.
Right after that is Seatocket.
You know.
3-2. Struck him out. Sanchez strikes out Bradley, 1 away.
Well, good running fastball from
Your attention, please.
Dwaner Sanchez through that by Milton Bradley.
Frank Catalanato.
So here's Catalanato. If you put him next to Saltalamacchia, that's 11 syllables. Can't come close to Saltalamacchia in terms of number of letters. Catalanato hitting at .268. He's had himself a fine career. Lifetime .294 hitter. The Tigers, the Rangers, the Blue Jays, and now back with a second tour of duty in Texas.
He had that great season in 01 for the Rangers, hitting .330.
And he takes a strike, 2-1.
Out of East High School. He was one of those rare breeds, played baseball and soccer. You don't usually see that.
Like Curtis Pride.
There you
And Sanchez falls behind 3-1.
Said he attended CW Post. Is that where the Jets used to train, or do they still train there?
Hofstra.
Hofstra, okay.
Here's a 3-1, and Catalanato chases one out of the strike zone, 3-2.
I know what CW Post was. It used to be the home to the Lee Mazzilli baseball camps.
Is that right?
In the summer, yes.
Whatever happened to that? Naz became a little too big for that.
That's right.
3-2. Hit in the air to deep right field, right down the line toward the corner, and it's off the side, foul ball. Catalanato just missed. right at that 338 mark. Just missed the line. And he knew it all the time.
Yeah.
Look at that helmet. Has that been through a few rigors?
Yes.
That's a 34-year-old helmet. 3-2 from Sanchez. Just missed ball 4. And so Catalanotto draws a 1-out walk. So 1 out and 1 on. And now Chris Shelton coming up. Shelton is 0 for 3 tonight. Oliver Perez went the first 7 innings, allowed a run on 3 hits. Walked 3, struck out 8. Scott Schoenweiss pitched a 1-2 3/8. Mets took the lead in the first inning. They've led ever since. Way outside to Shelton, 1-0. Mets have had 4 straight games in which they've let a lead of 3 or more runs get away. It's the first time in the 47-year history of the franchise that that's happened. And so as Sanchez falls behind 2-0, you hear a nervous titter in the crowd here at Shea, even with a 6-run lead. There's a strike. You got to believe. 2-1. Better than 49,000 on hand tonight for the opening game of this series. Pedro pitching tomorrow night. 2-1. Lifted down the right field line. Chavez should have room for this one, and he grabs it in fair territory for the second out. Back to first, Catalanotto, 2 away.
You were saying about the big crowds. It's nice to see, you know, the kids are out now. We've seen a lot of kids at the ballpark as they can a corn for Andy Chavez.
You know where that expression came from?
Do you know it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
From the old grocery stores where they had to use that grabber to get the stuff from the top shelf, and the can would come floating down into the hands of the store clerk.
That's right.
It's a can of corn. There's a strike to Saltalamacchia, 0-1. Oh, 1 to Saltalamacchia. Swing and a miss at the changeup. And now the Rangers are down to their final strike of the night.
Good changeup from Warner. Like to end this game with a strikeout, I'm sure. The fans will take an out.
In the dirt. And it's 2-2. 1-2 to Saltalamacchia.
Saltalamacchia has taken some nice at-bats tonight, hasn't he? Just missed a slider from Perez earlier in the game.
Robbed of a base hit by David Wright on a play in the hole his last time on. A win would take a big dose of pressure off.
Towel day here at Shea Stadium, and the fans are using them appropriately.
One, two. On the inside corner, strike 3 called, and the ball game is over. Just what the doctor ordered for the Mets, a routine 7-1 victory. 7 strong innings from Oliver Perez, 2 shutout innings from the bullpen, a 4-run inning along the way, and a chance for the Mets to just sigh and say, let's shake some hands.
In a week where anything was ho-hum, the Mets get a ho-hum victory with great pitching, starting pitching again from Oliver Perez. 7 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. Nice job by Schoenweiss and Duaner Sanchez to finish it up. Big win for the Mets. Add-on runs, nice innings of offense where they moved runners along and got them in. Perfect blueprint to repeat the rest of the season.
Just what the doctor ordered for the Mets. Reyes got aboard twice, found his way home twice, scoring Reyes runs. Perez wins for the first time since the 18th of May at Yankee Stadium. And the Mets take the opening game of the series from Texas, just their 2nd win in their last 8 games. Duaner Sanchez puts a bow on it by striking out Saltalamacchia, and the Mets grab the opener from the Rangers. 7-1 the final. Back with